I'm Tyler Citron.
I'm Mario Ottinger.
And I'm Eli Badauer.
And together we are Next Gen Consulting, here to talk to you today about our new Credifi initiative. Credifi, a company within the financial real estate commercial market, has done a great job at acquiring data onto its big data platform. However, its success has slowed recently because of transparency, a factor that is greatly out of its control. Credifi relies on its customer segments of architects, vendors, and tenants, and often appraisers as well. But there are many times where the tenants refuse to, or are lacking the motivation and incentive to provide the quality feedback needed to aggregate onto the big data platform that Credifi has, which means that people using the platform and other services provided by Credifi are not able to make as strategic decisions. With our new initiative, the Credifi certification, which we will call Credifi Accredited, we plan to engage our customers by incentivizing them. This will help us improve our credibility, inform our customers, and help us to become the industry standard. And next up, Eli will now talk about informing our customers.
Providing our Credifi customers with reliable customer feedback is very important in differentiating Credifi from their competitors. Currently, there are many standards of performance that are used in other industries, such as Yelp, eBay, and Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes currently has a certified fresh rating that movies receive if they receive 65% or more positive reviews from professional critics. eBay currently has a trusted seller rating that sellers receive if they that they receive if the sellers provide outstanding customer service for eBay's customers. And Yelp currently has a 5-star rating scale that restaurants and stores are rated on by customers. Currently, all these standards of performance are effective in differentiating successful companies from unsuccessful companies. Let's take Yelp for example. 19%, a restaurant with an average rating of 4 stars is 19% more likely to be packed during peak business hours than a restaurant with an average rating of 3.5 stars. In addition, all the top 500 biggest sellers on eBay, aka the sellers that have sold the most items, all have received that trusted seller rating. Customers are looking for feedback from their peers to be able to see if they should go to a given store or site. We believe Credifi can apply that principle to real estate to be able to provide quality feedback to their customers. Now Marielle is going to be talking about credibility.
In order to show the importance of credibility for customers, we're using Uber as an example. Uber conducts extensive background checks on all its drivers, in addition to allowing riders to leave reviews about their drivers. Riders then feel much more inclined to use Uber over other modes of transportation because they know that they are getting a reliable product. Credifi will also use this because if people using Credifi
Similar to Angie's list, when people do use Credifi and provide the unbiased ratings, such as the tenants or vendors and other customers that we have in the future, people will be able to make more strategic decisions because they will not be reliant upon biases that come from the company and the ratings that they provide. Instead, they will be receiving these ratings and feedback from the tenants who, for some reason or otherwise, are inclined to provide that feedback and ratings. And now I will talk about industry standard, or why Credifi should seek to become the industry standard. And to do this, we will review a case from the early 90s between FSC and SFI, two independent, nonprofit, nonprofit NGO regulatory companies that were seeking to provide certifications for the environmental market. FSC in 1993 came up with this logo and certification that it imposed upon the paper production industry with a very strict set of standards. Any company that met these standards was able to put this logo prominently on their packaging. And this way, whenever a person was buying a product from a company that had this logo on the product, they knew that they were making an environmentally conscious decision, helping the environment. However, this came at a cost, especially for companies that wanted to put this logo but had to make drastic changes. They had a choice. Can they push for their brand image, and can they push for their brand images and please their customer because they are trying to help protect the environment, but at the same time they would have to cut costs. They would have to increase costs and cut profits in the process of doing so. So came about a new certification, and the next certification in the environmental regulatory market was SFI. SFI mimicked that of FSC, except it made some changes. And what it did was it pulled on all the feedback and complaints of other companies within the industry or relevant to it. And it's created a simpler set of standards that more companies could realistically approach. In doing so, a lot more companies were able to get this certification. A lot more companies were able to help protect the environment in a realistic manner, not one that would cause them to completely change their entire manufacturing setup. What we want to do with Credifi is take the fact that it is in a market that is very new and that it does not have a lot of government regulation, NGO regulation, or any existing certifications. And we want to become that standard. So instead of waiting for someone to go create a certification, create a set of standards that we don't agree with, we want to create our own certification with corresponding standards that we will impose from a non-biased standpoint, because we are putting them upon we are using our employees as the board, and we will be imposing them upon tenants and other clients and customers that we are not paying to do so. When our customers and clients reach these standards and do eventually achieve a certification, then the market will catch wind. And in doing so, the market trends will shift to recognizing this Credifi certification as the norm. People will only expect to purchase products or negotiate in contracts with those that are Credifi certified, as opposed to those that are not. This will make sure that when people are thinking about this market, they're only thinking about Credifi. Indirectly, pushing our brand image, but also making the industry as our name. And next, Eli will talk about implementation.
So there are three main steps that we need to take to implement this plan. The first one is creating a regulatory board. We plan on making up this regulatory board of current trusted employees that are currently under the employ of Credifi already. This will also eliminate a conflict of interest because current employees will have no bias towards trying to make sure certain companies are Credifi accredited. The next one is creating a set of standards, which Marielle will touch on shortly. And the last one is adding basic filter and search prioritizations in the current Credifi platform. This will allow our clients to search for a Credifi accredited company rather than just seeing whatever pops up. We basically just want to add a filter so they can search and filter through only companies that are Credifi accredited. We plan on implementing this process within 3 months with no additional costs. We are spending no external costs, and all we're doing is implementing new solutions, so the cost should be minimal. Now, Marielle is going to talk about our standards for creating for the Credifi accreditation.
Although it varies slightly by the 4 different components, the general standard is at least 4 out of 5 stars and a minimum number of reviews by at least 1/3 of how many reviewers there are in total.
And this is just a suggested pilot test that we want to impose upon each customer segment, in that there isn't anything existing like this within the financial commercial real estate market. So as to do so, as she mentioned, we're going to impose a minimum of a 4 out of 5 star rating. And to aggregate to this rating, depending on the role, is contingent upon where the feedback will come from. So for buildings and appraisers and architects and vendors especially, the tenants will provide this feedback. And to incentivize the retrieval of that feedback of the tenants, we will work with the landlords, architects, and appraisers and vendors to help them mitigate risks and costs, and also increase benefits. Some of these benefits will include the search prioritization feature that Eli mentioned earlier, and others include potential the cutting of costs and upgrade of housing, as well as rent discounts for vendors and tenants who do provide this feedback. That's for the tenants, and as for the other customer segments, with having that Credifi certification to back you, you will be able to negotiate better contracts on your own, as well as when people are searching for you and they do see that Credifi certification attached to you. So as an estimate, we have a minimum of 4 to 5 stars, and it will vary based upon the segment you are in, the role you are, and also the amount of work you have done in terms of traction. If you have, for example, for an architect, if you have worked on 5 to 10 buildings, then we expect an average of 4 to 5 stars for 7 out of 10 buildings, which we feel is reasonable to start as a starting place. And also, instead of having a total number of views, which we think unreasonable because there is a disparity in building size, we estimate that we should expect 1/3 roughly of the tenants within a building that you worked on to contribute to the feedback. And in doing so, we think that that would be a good statistical representation of the building as a whole. So in conclusion, in the short run, we want to inform our customers and clients, and also in doing so improve our credibility, ultimately leading to us becoming the industry standard. Thank you for your time, and we are looking forward to hearing from you soon.